Hi everyone, this is Asma Azzani and now I'm going to present my research which was performed in the academic year 2022-2023. The title of the research is An Investigation of Education for Sustainable Development Competencies, a case study of GFP teachers at the University of Buraimi. During this presentation, at the beginning, I'm going to present the research problem statement. After that, I'm going to present the purpose of the research, the research questions. Then I'm going to present the research literature review. After that, I'm going to present the research methodology, focusing on the main instrument that was used in order to collect data and the prime procedures that were followed in order to collect data and analyze it. After that, I'm going to present the study findings, the research applications for practice, the research recommendations, and I'm going to conclude this research by presenting the research limitations. Let's start with the first point, which is the research problem statement. With the calls of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, the main agency for implementing and monitoring education for sustainable development around the world, for education for sustainable development application during the current decade, the main question that needs to be answered is whether teachers who are under the umbrella of higher education in Oman have the competencies for implementing education for sustainable development, especially if the Omani higher education originally encounters many challenges to offer graduates who have the necessary competencies that the market needs. Ali Saidi and Scatolini 2022 stated that many researchers showed that Omani universities and colleges fail to graduate learners who are qualified for occupational requirements. Al-Busaidi Farira 2022 and Ali Al-Saidi and Scatolini 2022 stated that although there are many attempts of reforming higher education in terms of quality and quantity, either in Oman or Arab Gulf region to graduate learners with knowledge and skills needed in private and public sectors. Graduate learners show poor academic and professional performances. According to them, students are not equipped with the knowledge and soft skills such as critical thinking skills and problem-solving strategies. Recommend and Part 2022 and Caribbean, Geniate and Mala 2022 emphasized that there is a positive interface between the development of competencies of learners and the competencies of educators. Consequently, it's necessary to investigate teachers' competencies, especially in education for sustainable development, as a step for a successful application of it in the educational field. Therefore, what's the purpose of the study? This research aims to investigate the University of Buraimi General Foundation Program, teachers' education for sustainable development, competencies, and their aspects. What are the current research questions? This research aims to answer two questions. The first question is, what education for sustainable development competencies do the GFP teachers at the University of Buraimi have? The second question is, which aspects of education for sustainable development competencies do the GFP teachers at the University of Buraimi have? Now let's move to present a quick description of my research literature review. Of course, my research literature review was divided into 4 sections. The first section focuses on the main definitions. I have focused on sustainable development definition, and it was defined as a development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. I have focused on education for sustainable development definition, and of course, it was defined as a capacity to think critically about what experts say and to test ideas, exploring the dilemmas and contradictions inherent in sustainable living. I have focused also on sustainability competencies and EST competencies. Sustainability competencies were defined as the combination of cognitive skills, practical abilities, and ethical values and attitudes mobilized in real situation or context related. However, EST competencies were defined as the competencies that teachers and educators need to put in place in educational settings in order to promote sustainability competencies among their learners. Of course, in theoretical underpinnings, section, I have focused on competency-based approach as the main approach, which focuses on teachers and educators' competencies. The third section, I try to review the past studies, and after reviewing them, I have found that most past studies focus on models of applying ESD. They focused on teachers and administrators' perceptions and attitudes toward applying ESD in general or for specific subjects. In addition, I have found that past studies focused on the main goals, or they investigated the main goals of education for sustainable development. However, there is a dearth of studies that investigate teachers' competencies in applying education for sustainable development or their needs, especially in higher education. That's why I have performed this research. Of course, what's the current research methodology? Of course, in order to collect data, I have used a questionnaire of teaching competencies for education for sustainable development. In order to collect data, I have followed specific steps. First of all, I get the ethical approval of conducting the research. After that, I explained the study purpose to the participants. I informed them of their responses' confidentiality and anonymity. I got the participant participation consent. Then I distributed the research soft questionnaire to the GFP teachers. And after getting the participants' responses, I try to analyze them and find the results. Of course, I have used SPSS software version 23 in order to analyze data, and I have used descriptive statistics specifically. Of course, after analyzing data, I have found for the first question, what education for sustainable development competencies do the GFP teachers at the University of Buraimi have? I have found that GFP teachers' ESD competencies are higher than their transversal competencies and science education competencies, respectively. For the second research question, which aspects of education for sustainable development competencies do the GFP teachers at the University of Buraimi have? I have found that GFP teachers are more competent in raising students' environmental awareness, putting an emphasis on intellectual development and thinking about the effects of their behaviors on their countries and the world than the rest of the current research competencies aspects. What are the implications of the current research? There are 10 implications. The first one is GFP teachers could have knowledge of education for sustainable development, but they do not have the skills of applying it in personal or educational domains. The second implication is that GFP teachers could provide learners with general knowledge of the importance of sustainability, but they could not scaffold students' learning. The third implication is that GFP teachers could provide general guidance on the importance of preserving the environment, but they could not help them to observe, reflect, or act on the environmental issues. The fourth implication is that GFP teachers could have the ESD content knowledge, but not the pedagogical one. The fifth implication is that GFP teachers could raise students' awareness of environmental issues in a specific context, but they could not expand that to the world. Therefore, they could develop country citizenship, but not the global one. The sixth implication is that GFP teachers could help learners of the main principles of education of sustainable development in a theoretical way, but not in the practical one. The seventh implication is that GFP teachers could have knowledge of environmental issues and they could develop students' thinking skills. However, they do not have the skills of connecting the learning process with the community as a source of knowledge. The ninth implication is that GFP teachers could have the skills of developing the thinking skills of students, but not in an authentic way. The 10th implication is that GFP teachers do not have the reflective practice skills. They could interact with the environment and its issues. They could contextualize the issues and find the interrelations. However, they do not have the skills and commitment to analyze the problems, suggest theories, and test these theories in the field. The main recommendations of the current research is that the current research recommends stakeholders of the educational field to develop the knowledge, skills, and values of education for sustainable development. It's necessary for all teachers to have them in order to facilitate students' learning and have a profound transformation of education. The current research, in addition, recommends all professional programs directors locally or globally to activate the practices of reflective practice. It's a tool for producing authentic teaching and learning. Therefore, education could enhance the sustainable practices of sustainable societies. What are the main limitations of the current research? Of course, this research could find important results or insights, okay, of the main teachers' competencies, okay, in the defined context, okay. But it was good if I followed the mixed method research design to expand the main results, okay? It was good if I could find why GFP teachers at the University of Buraimi have the knowledge and values of education for sustainable development, not the skills. And it was good if the research find what are the challenges that GFP teachers at the University of Buraimi encounter of applying education for sustainable development. Of course, that's all what I have. Thanks a lot. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send them to me.